Peace and blessings, everybody. It's the one and only bainkoy. I want to welcome you to bainkoy World. Y'all see bainkoy World? So a world of 100% truth-centered, non-fictional content that is verified and verifiable. And y'all see the principles: truth, integrity, honesty, dedication, motivation, elevation, and righteousness. All right. So today I'm so excited about this one here. Got a very special guest. About to be a lot of wisdom, a lot of history, and I don't want to hold too long because I'm gonna let them introduce themselves and just get on with it. Because this is definitely one that after I'm finished, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it, possibly a couple times, not possibly, definitely. So I want everybody to welcome powerful pioneer of the Kingdom of Yah, Ahturah Rofah Afrah. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom, Bane. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
Oh, blessed, blessed, blessed. Hold on. Thank you.
Hallelujah. I'm so grateful and honored for you to come on and share the wisdom and the testimony with me on my platform. I'm so grateful and Toda Rabah. I appreciate it a lot.
I am very grateful that you even considered me. Surprised
Yeah.
also. And it's my pleasure to be some assistance to what you are doing.
Yes, yes. So yes, I'm so grateful. So I just want to give you a space just to introduce yourself to for those who don't know you. You know, most of the people in the KOI definitely do, but for those who don't, just a brief, overview of who you are and Rofi and what do you do.
Okay, brief overview. My name is Afra by Israel. I have a title as a crown sister and a doctor. And I was born in Mississippi. I had 6 siblings, and my parents' name was Malcolm and Virginia Wright. My father was murdered when I was 8 years of age, and I was there when it took place, and I never will forget the sight I saw. And it took me a
Mm,
while to accept the fact that he would never walk through the door again. So that was in Mississippi. On 1951, that was a trial for them, but of course they were not charged. It was 3 year jail
mm,
trial men. And my mother moved to Portisville, Missouri, and we was there. I was there for 5 years. I finished my grade school learning there. I graduated from grade school in 1956, and my second oldest brother asked my Ima, could I come and babysit for him for the summer when school was out. And halfway through the summer, the principal informed my mother, who she didn't know prior to that, that since I was not there in summer school, that I had to repeat the 8th grade over again. So that was decided that see if I could do something else. So I had a older sister was living in Chicago. My two of my oldest siblings, they lived in Chicago. So she and my mother discussed me staying there, and she would get guardianship of me and be responsible for me. So that's how I got to Chicago, Illinois. And she was in conception at the time, my oldest sister, and I became her babysitter. for the 4 years that I was in school. So she had 3 boys back to back. So my time was straight to school, straight back home, babysitting. In between her pregnancy leave from work. Once that was over with, it was back to straight to school, straight back home to babysit. So I married Nasi Grankameen and eloped. I was too embarrassed to be in a wedding where I'd be kissing somebody. So we eloped. That was the 23rd of January, the first month, 1964. And I was afraid to let my Emma know that I was married. It took me 2 weeks to get up enough courage to tell her I was married. When I did tell her, I showed her my wedding ring. She said, I don't want to see that. I want to see the marriage license. When I produced that, she told me I could go ahead, and because she already knew Nasi Rockamine. She said, okay, you can go ahead and move. And I did, but I didn't move far from where she lived. It may have been 1 block over. So I could still be available for whatever she might need. So I went to church. My mother was adamant about us attending church. So that I grew up going to church. In the process, after meeting Nasi Rockamine, he became appointed with a deacon at the church. And they formulated this program every Saturday morning. We took some of the boys in the neighborhood, young boys, in the neighborhood bike riding every Saturday. Took a little picnic, a little food, so they could stop and rest and then come back. So it was the deacon that was telling him about who the children of Israel was. And that he said the preachers, they know this, but they have to take an oath that they couldn't tell the people about that. And he also said, he brought up the subject about eating. He said, we're not supposed to be eating meat either. And he went to Genesis and showed Nasi Rockamine that. And peeked on suddenly. I don't think we had been married maybe a year. He said, we're not eating no more meat. We finished with it. So we went and then got our artisanal, the kitchen, took everything that was meat or byproducts from an animal and threw it in the garbage, and that's how we stopped eating meat.
Cold turkey.
Suddenly.
Cold turkey.
Came.
Okay, so that's interesting because I mean we all come from that same similar background. I didn't know that information right there. So I don't want to just speed past the Nasi Rockamine relationship because that's my prince right there. So I want to get into the origin story. How did this coming together happen? Like, did you know him from school, neighborhood? Like, how did it come together?
Okay, no, I didn't know him whatsoever. And I used to work on, I don't know if you're familiar with a company called Montgomery Ward. And that was on 900 something Chicago Avenue on the north side. And Nasi Rockamine worked at Domar, which means you rode public transportation. We got off on the same stop, just went in different direction, walked different direction to where we worked. Met Nasi Guacamole. I became acquainted with one of the workers there. We worked in the same department. I know her name was Doris, and they were going together. So Doris told me once. She said, "Come on, go out with me to lunch." And so I went, but I didn't go in there after because they were friends, and their conversation hindered around them two. So I didn't go anymore. Then one summer, it may have been the following summer, she she went on cold vacation, and then she didn't come back. And I was like, what happened to her? Then I learned that she had married the fellow she was going with. He was in the military. They had gotten married, and that was the end of. I never saw her again. And saying that to say, that's when I was first introduced to Ahturah Rofah. But
Okay.
we didn't have nothing. I just knew him. I was just introduced to him, and that's it. This was sometime later. He got off. We got off at the same. This was a 63rd and Foster with the L train. Once we left Chicago Avenue, we caught the L train and went south. So when I got off the train, he got off too, and we was walking down the steps. So he said, "Would you buy me a beer?" So I'm thinking I'm getting ready to get rid of him. I said, "Why don't you buy me one?" And I kept on walking and walked straight on across the street and waiting for my bus. He came over there where I was, got on the same bus. When I got off the bus, he got off the bus. So he said, "Okay, here's a cabin. You can go in there and buy your beer." I said, "Slick." I said, "Excuse me, I don't drink. So I don't want."
Right.
So that's how it started from that point. And he used to be a semi-pro baseball, and I enjoyed baseball very much. So he asked me
Okay.
one day after work, could I go baseball practice with him? I went, and slowly thereafter we started to build a relationship.
Okay. Okay.
But I
So,
didn't know his cousin didn't live too far from where I live. So she asked me one day. She said, "You know he's married." I said, "What?"
mm, plot twist.
"Yes." I said, "Oh my goodness." And when I saw him again, I asked, I said, "You married?" He said, "Yeah, but we stay in the house, but we don't sleep together." I said, "Well, I don't go out with married men. So if you're really interested in me and you and your wife not getting along," I said, "you go on about your business, or you can bring me some divorce papers, but we don't have nothing else to say." And I stuck to that. And
Mm.
for a little while, I didn't, I didn't see him. And then one day he came and he said, "I have something for you," and that was his divorce papers. So
Mm.
then it became serious. Like I said, we eloped 1964, the 23rd of the first month. And I'll tell you what happened thereafter.
You did. So then, you know, y'all started to receive the teachings as far as the meat and being Hebrews. Like, what was y'all thought and feeling when y'all was being
Okay,
introduced to it? And for you personally, was you like following your husband, or was it something inside of you also?
it was something inside of me. I had tried to leave America, find some way to leave America when I was still in high school. Uh, and there was a couple, my brother that was 5 years older than I asked his friend, could he marry me so I could go overseas. So he told me, he said, only officers' family can go overseas. He said, marrying me wouldn't help you. And then as a brother I became acquainted with, he said he was going to South Africa. I asked him, can I go with him? He said, yeah, but that was only talk. Because I knew as a young child that you Gentiles were not our friends. And what I mean, we call them white people. I stopped calling them that. They're not white.
Mm.
They're people with less color. The Indian described them as pale face.
Right.
So I can go along with
Mm.
that. But anyway, um, after marrying Nasiran Kameem, there was a brother that worked at the same factory he did. He was telling them about we being Hebrews and that we need to come to the class. So that's how we did. We started attending classes that Prince Reuben was the teacher. It wasn't a large congregation, it was a small congregation. And my Emma started going to come to class. She came a few times, but then she said that she was going back to the church. That's where all her friends were. Because everybody that was in the class, they was
Mm.
much younger. So she didn't have no connection like that as far as age. But I found out, and which my mother told me too, she was the Eastern Star, and my father was a Mason. They learned things or were taught things about who our people were, but they couldn't talk about it. So I thought that was strange.
Mm.
So then Nasi Guacamole, I started going to these classes. And like I said earlier, that the teacher, he said, after one class, he said he was going away to prepare a place for us. But we never saw him again. And
Mm.
there was a young son. His name was Noah. Nasir Amin had became acquainted with him. So he told Nasir Amin about a beta. So one Saturday while we were riding with the Banim, with the young sons, that we used to go out with on every Saturday morning. So we had taken them back to their home, and he and I was riding, and so he said, "Oh, this is the place Noah was talking about." So he said, "You stay down here with the box. I'm going up there and see what's happening." So he was gone for a good while, and when he did come back, he said, "Next week we're gonna start attending these classes," and which we did,
Mm.
and they was talking about who the Afro Americans were, and that America was not our home. And that's all I was saying. They was going to, I don't think I know what town it was. They was going to Michigan to keep a perfect Shabbat. So, like the Nasi Guacamole and I, we was very new, and we was vegan. So we went. It was quite a few that went to keep the perfect Shabbat. And it was two other people that fasted on the Shabbat. And I had taken fruit for Nasik and myself to have after our fast on the Shabbat. After sunset, went to get the fruit to eat. Somebody had eaten it, and I was
Mm.
somewhat, somewhat very upset. And I went to because it was they had two houses and a dining hall they had been rented. There was a couple of young couples. They had the first house. Then there was the sisters and There was about 2 children that was there. We had the second house, and the brothers, for the most part, they slept in except for the young wedded couples, they slept in the dining room. So I went and told myself, Rockamine, what had happened. Then I was ready to get out of there now. So he helped to calm me down, and we was okay. Uh, so I was somewhat perturbed about that. And somebody going in, eating up the food, knew it wasn't theirs, da 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 da. But anyway, we
Right.
continued to go to the classes. And we talked about um, that we had to leave America and go. It wasn't exactly known exactly where about in Africa that we were going to go to. And when they finally decided that we was going to Liberia, because after checking it up, we found out Liberia was established for Afro Americans to come back to Liberia.
The free slave.
That was the gateway. I
I
didn't
said,
understand
yeah,
what
the
you said.
freed slaves. Now,
Came.
Liberia, they opened up the door for the freed slaves. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So these classes
So
y'all was going to, is this the Beta Center or is this different classes before the
now
Beta
that
Center?
no, this is a beta. After the Prince Reuben that was teaching us when we first, they was calling themselves Bene Zyken. After he disappeared, with no more classes, so the young son Noah, who was 15, but he acted much older than 15 years of age, he told us about a beta, and that's when we started attending the beta. Every Saturday we went to a beta. Uh,
So then, so you got to a Beta and then you meet Ben Ami. What was the thoughts about him?
well, he seemed like a good teacher. I don't know, he was just one of the teachers initially. So,
Okay.
and when we first went there, the first time we went there, we was running kind of late. We just sat down in the first rows that we came to. And so one of the brothers sitting there for a short period of time, one of the brothers tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You're supposed to be sitting on the other side." The brother sat on the right-hand side and the sister sat on the left-hand side. Of course, I was embarrassed. And went on over. And then we started talking about leaving America. And Nasik Wakamin and Ben Ami started going to the Neo Gentiles, those with the organizations and like Ku Klux Klan and all the other ones. Go back to Africa. So they went to those organizations asking for donation. That we were ready to leave and go back to Africa, and they was asking for donation. Not one of them gave 1 penny. So when that happened, Ben-Ami came back and said, "We're gonna have to deliver our own selves." And this was we got that in towards the end of the 8th month in 66.
So
And
this is the time that
Passover,
Abba came with the vision. So,
he came with a vision before there was the 2nd month of 66, he had the vision. So we came after the
so
vision.
how did people receive the vision?
You
Oh,
had
so you
those.
came, the vision had already came. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But didn't know where to go. Then there's some brothers was checking around, and I don't know how they became acquainted with Mr. Flemister. He was one of those brothers. He used to be a Gaviite, and he had told one of them that where to go to meet Mr. Flemister. because he was living in Liberia. And however they met up with Mr. Flemister. And he told them that he would help us. He had a farm, and he had enough land on his farm that after we purchased land, that those that came could live on his land. So it was Ben-Ami, Ben Yaakov, and there was someone else. I recall it was three that went to Liberia to check things out. And in the interim, Ben Yaakov, he stayed, but Ben-Ami, it may have been Nasi Gabrielle who went too. I'm not sure. Like I said, I was new. So when Ben-Ami came back, he and it was pushing. Let's make the move. So Ben-Ami told everybody, sell everything you got and sleep on the floor. Because we had to pay our own way there. When nobody about to help us leave America. So those that were serious, that's what did. So I quit my job because I was having money put away every month, and I had some bonds too. So my employer told me that I couldn't get anything. I had to leave work 6 months early in order to get what funds I had saved. And I was up to be supervisor. I worked at Montgomery Ward. The department I worked in on Chicago Avenue, they transferred me down to downtown Loop, and I worked in the Loop. And I was up to be the supervisor, and I was waiting to take that position. I said, I was the only person of color in that department, and I was going to become supervisor for your Gentiles. So I gave that up because I was ready to leave America. And so what my thoughts was, come with me. I could handle it. So I went to Liberia without Nasi Grameen. He stayed. Then me asked him to remain with him. Excuse me.
So how did that look? Did you just pack a bag and go? Like, how did that look? Is making that trip?
Making that trip. They told us that.
Yeah, because I know y'all had a conversation about it. Like, yeah, what was going on?
We had to buy tents because we had to live in tents. And Citizen Robux sold tents that their tents were waterproof. So everybody was purchasing tents that was serious about leaving. Nasi Grameen told me all I need was a pup tent. I didn't know what a pup tent was. Then I found out what a pup tent was. That was one you just crawl in and crawl out. You couldn't stand up in it.
Right.
So that's what I purchased and packed what we could, sold what we could sell, packed what we could pack because he was only allowed so much on the plane trip. First was talking about going by ship. And they found out that they're going to be too long of a journey and people are going to be becoming seasick. He said, no, we got to do something else. And there was a brother named Joshua. One Saturday he came and said, airplanes are ships too. So the decision was made that we'd be flying out of America to Liberia. But that Passover of 67, we was told to come ready to spend Passover there our backpacks ready because we could be leaving. Those were serious. We went with our backpacks ready to
Right.
go that night. But it didn't happen like that. So that's when Vietnamese said we have to get ourselves out. And then he made the statement about selling everything and sleeping on the floor. Those that were serious, we did that.
Right.
Um,
Oh, so
so
was it like one and gone? Did you back and forth or did you leave and then that was it?
no, no, it was one and gone. So everyone
Okay.
that came, except those that came there and couldn't handle it, then they left. But when they came, that was gone.
What was your general feeling? Was you like excited or was you just so ready to get out? Like what was going through your heart? Because
I
this
was
is
so
it.
ready to
You're leaving everything
get out,
behind.
left behind running water, all of the quote unquote modern facilities, telephones, all of that.
All of that. Grocery
Um,
stores.
I was given, I turned all my Cashapp in money. At least I gave it to Ahturah Rofah Afrah and he turned it in. And I was given $50 when I got ready to leave. My
Mm,
plane ticket and $50. And told me to turn that in to the brother that Ben Yaakov, because he was the
mm,
overseer.
mm.
Turn
Okay.
those funds into him. He kept 25 and gave me 25 and told me to go buy necessities, which was we had to wash clothes by hand and wash, they call it scrub board. I think wash board or scrub board. Anyway, um, 2 tubs to wash clothes and rinse clothes. And also, you bathe in one of those tubs. And a night chamber, which means it was a bucket with a top on. Because your dad
Right.
didn't have no, okay. So the outhouse was outhouses outside. And anyway, that's what that's how we started. And we didn't know the Liberians told us that we need to build stands, but all of the tents when we first got there, they was on the ground.
Mm,
So they wanted to say, hey, we have to make some stand and put your tents on there. And then we got to our land. When we made it to our land, we made the stands, we put the tents on, and and they told us that we had to. At least they did it. They cut down palm branches and stacked them up on top of the platform above the tents to keep the rain from
uh-huh.
coming in. So that's how we
Uh-huh.
stayed dry, and that was
Mm,
a lesson learned. And we didn't know anything about driver's ants.
mm,
Driver's ants they came in droves.
mm,
And on my head, they came across my tent. I thought it was raining, but it wasn't raining. It was the driver's ants was coming across my tent, going wherever they were going.
mm.
And we was always told, make sure you don't get in their way. One brother, I don't know how he did it, but he got in the pathway of drivers, and he had to come out of his clothes right there in the open.
That's an impregnable people. uh,
um, so we had to adjust to living outside without none of the conveniences of living
conveniences
in
and
America.
luxuries. Uh,
Luxury.
right. So then at this
And
point, it's done set in the reality. Like this, because like I'm in Africa, so I know that first of all, I understand firsthand what a lot of people can't conceptualize, and that's when you was put there in the bush. Like you was in the bush, you had to clear everything, you had to deal with all the elements and the whatever, the drivers, ants and snakes and whatever that was there. So I know that was
mhm,
rough. So when you first go, there's still that residue of, like just coming to this new place. But then eventually the reality set in that this is it. Ain't no going back. It's just forward from here. So what was that like when the reality set in that this is life now?
Okay, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Before I left America, Ben and me had informed us that we were going to Liberia and we would be there for anywhere for 2.5 to 2.5 years to rid ourselves of negritude
Mm,
and learn how
yes.
to live with one another. So I'm speaking for myself and some others. We was going there with that mindset because our destination was Israel. So
Mm,
that's what we have to look forward to. And I can speak for myself and a few more that that's what we look forward to, going to Israel.
mm, okay. Got you. So you understood that Liberia was just temporary. So
hmm That was
that
what
that
that
helped
was
you
told
press
us from the
on
very
towards the
beginning.
mark.
Came. Yes.
Okay. Understood. Understood. So was there anything else that you can share other than just the ants and the tents? Was there any other day to day or firsthand things that was going on?
Yes. Um, there was a few. The brothers played basketball a lot, and
Mm.
they would get into confrontation. There was one time where one brother put out his gun,
Mm.
and so that had to be settled.
Mm.
Um, then there was those that say, "Hey, I can't take this," and they left.
Mm.
Um, we knew that we had to make the necessary steps to get where we need to go to do what need to be done for our people. So we had malaria cases. We were given malaria pills to take. We told her how to take them. One sister, she was a young sister, she had a vein there. Told her to make sure she put the pills away so the child wouldn't get to them. She
Mm.
didn't, and he, and he overdosed on the pills.
Mm.
We had situation that some of the malaria cases that we those that didn't go to the hospital, we tried to deal with them. We did the best we could to deal with them. And for the most part, we were successful
Mm-hmm.
in treating malaria. Um, we did, some of us, we had enough land, we cleared off so we could plant and grow our own food. There was a crew that
Mm.
would go down. I think once it was 3 brothers and about four sisters.
Mm.
And harvested the produce, brought it back, and was putting it on people's doors and little steps. We wouldn't have no porches.
Right.
And uh, they they let the food spoil. And then me said, don't do that no more. So we had a community, initially, we had a community called artisanal, a kitchen, it was like a dining hall. Yeah, it was covered overhead, but there was no size. So we would bring the produce up there and put it in. Whoever wanted it, they ate it, they got it and consumed
Mm.
it. Um, like I said, we had those who was ready to persevere to make it onto Israel. So we endured the army. The government had sent, I don't know what portion, some soldiers down to the camp, and they were supposed to round us up and sent us back to America. So we
Mm.
had made acquaintance with the president, President Tubman at the time. I was blessed to go with Benami and Nasir Amin to the President Palace, and I met the president. And so when they did send those soldiers down to round us up, he sent word to them to leave us alone and that we were his people.
Mm.
And they let us be. And then when it came, when Benami informed us that prior to that, he had sent his Gabriel Gadot, who wasn't a Nazi at the time,
Mm.
to Kia. She had a son that she brought with her to Liberia, and a sister named Ziona and her son. He sent them to Israel first. No, let me go back. He and Nasi Keskiahu
Eskiyahu.
came to, came to
Yeah.
Israel. And then this is how we started. It was Nasi Abram and Keskiahu. They came to Israel to visit Israel. We were just checking it out. And he hadn't told Keskiahu that he was going to stay. He didn't meet him there.
Right. Uh-uh.
So you
That
know
was
that.
that was something. That was something right there. So real quick
Okay.
before we move to Israel, I wanted to ask this question because I think it's a key point that need to be highlighted. When
Okay.
y'all made the move to Liberia, it was said that the people was over there starving and it was food growing all around, but because of the convenience of America, we wasn't aware. So I just want you to touch on first getting there and not realizing that all this food was growing around you, and then finally realizing it, and then preparing it, and how was y'all like storing it and stuff.
Okay. Initially, we lived at the store.
Mm.
Started trying to purchase everything. And then they came and said, hey, we can't get everything we need and we buy and we don't have the funds to keep purchasing at the store.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the Liberians. They would come around selling some fresh produce. Mostly was greens, tomatoes,
Mm.
potatoes, and they didn't call them sweet potatoes. What they used to call
Yams.
yams. So started purchasing that, and then we found out there was a market once a week.
Mm.
Wasn't too far from the camp. Started
Oh
going
wow.
to purchase the food from the market. So initially came, we tried to live the way we did in America, but it was consuming too much of the funds. Then we became aware of they had an open market, so they started going to the market to purchase the food
Mm.
because it was it was quite inexpensive to go to the market because they used to sell bananas a penny a piece or something like that.
Mm. Mm.
So that's how it started off initially, trying to live like we lived in America.
Uh-huh. So now,
We was cooking, had a community kitchen, and the sisters that prep. I was one of the preppers. You had those that
mm,
did the cooking. They, the ones ate first was the expected mothers and children. Make sure that they had food. Then the brothers and sisters came. So,
mm,
and then we got on, we had to move to our land. I had enough cleaned off. Started off trying to do the same thing, but that wasn't working out. We had more people, so everybody said they were going to do their own cooking. So
Mm.
that took place. Of course, we cooked outside on the place had to be built where uh, you could cook outside on a open stove. It's
Mm.
really like a mound that you built, and you put a piece of mm, I say stainless steel, but it was thicker than stainless steel that you put over the top of over the flames, and you put your pots on that, uh, and that's how you cook.
Oh wow,
And
that's
then
quite an experience right there. That's quite an experience. Totally different from the norm, but it did help with the nigger tools and the things that we got convenient to in America. You know, we was able to sustain ourselves in any situation instead of depending on, because like being in Africa, you know, you learn all those things so that you ready for whatever. Like most people, if the gas ain't working, if the lights ain't working, if the water ain't working, they gonna go into panic mode. Whereas, you know, living in Africa or going through the experience that you all went through in Liberia, you learn how to, you know, adjust to any type of situation and not depend on conveniences and luxuries. So now
that's
it's
right.
time to go into Israel. So now you get
Mm-hmm.
so just so give me like from the moment like the message came, like okay, now it's time to complete the journey. And what would that day to day like, and then eventually arriving.
And initially, like I said, he first sent those few people, and then he had this meeting, and he called all different families and said, "You all will be leaving such and such a time."
Mm.
And that was the first group, which was 39, inclusive of brothers, sisters, and children, babies. So my family was in that first group,
Mm.
and no, we was making preparation. Let's get on. Let's move on. So everything that I had seen in my Israel was they all had houses. There wasn't no apartments. It was just small houses.
Mm.
So when we got to Israel, they didn't let us in. And like I said, Kiskiyahu was already here, and he was working with the Jewish agency, and he met this lady. Her name was Sonia, and she was helping him. They went to the Knesset, and they just told him they weren't letting us in. So the press kept
Mm.
coming. We
Wow.
got here. It was near nighttime, and we we had to stay in the waiting room because they said that they couldn't let us in. So the press stayed all over us. We told them, we're not going back. We're going to die here. So,
Right.
so we slept on chairs on the floor. Some had new babies, washed out diapers. We hung
Right.
them on the back of the chairs. Then at 10 o'clock that following night, they came and said that we could come on in. And we left out of the waiting room in the airport, and they took us to a dining area. They had food there. Some we could eat, some we
Mm.
couldn't. And
Mm.
this was the night of the 22nd of the 12th month, 1969. So it was winter, and Liberia, only thing, heaviest thing that we had at the time was sweaters. So they put us on the bus, and the bus didn't have no heat. So we just huddled up together trying to stay warm. They took us, they chose the place at Des Moines. We got down Des Moines about 2 a.m. in the morning. And they took the large families first and settled them in the apartment. And which was Emma Parley and her children. And the boys, there was 2 boys. One had a large, Moshe boy had a large family. Eliyahu, just him and his wife. And they had a sister. But she was married to someone else. But anyway, they settled the large family, put them, settled them in. And then Gabriel Catan and his wife Leah, Nasi Rakamin and myself, we was the last families to be settled in. 6 o'clock in the morning, this loud knocking came on the door, and it startled. I said, Rakamin, who is that? He got up, he went to the door, and there was people from the area, the government, that you go here, sign up for electricity, you go here, do that, and here's you go for a job. So that's the way we came in. The following day, we had to go take care, sign up for the electricity, the rent, and go to. We can sign up for work. So I would have said that, okay, we got to make it because y'all got to bring us in. So that was our objective, to bring those that was left in Liberia onto Israel. And living in Liberia, we learned how to be considerate for one another. So when we got home, we all got apartments. Then when after coming in from Liberia, Abigail comes in. He and Nasi Rakamin. Just a moment. Mise. You on my phone? He and Benami and Rakamin went back to America to get those that was waiting to come to Liberia and send them home first. And so they did. And said we have to move over. So we learned how to, in Liberia, we learned how to, they use the term make small and traveling public transportation. They would have several people. Normally you might have 3 sitting in the back seat or whatever. We were stacked on top of one another. So we learned how to make small. It means move over and make room for someone else. So we learned that in Liberia. So when those that was sent from America to Israel, for the most part in the beginning, we had to house them ourselves. They had to live with us. Because they weren't living in no apartment. And we also established our own, I didn't state this, but in Liberia, we used to teach our children ourselves. And coming home, we set up our own school. Because those that came from Liberia to Israel, the children was able to go to Israeli schools. But then those that was coming in straight from America, they didn't met them. Only about 2 or 3 families. Outside of that, we had established our own school system. So that's how it started off. New Kingdom School in Holiness, that was the name. Now it's Beit Sefer, the Brotherhood School. So I hope I've been able to shed some light on how we started.
No, absolutely, and it was great testimony, great history. I already knew it anyway. So, lastly, before we end it, lastly, I want to touch on the day of the show of strength. Now, there's a lot of stuff that happened from when we first got there to now, but I want to touch on this. Whatever you can share from the moment before it happened till it happening, all the way through. Just g- share that
Well,
experience.
okay, the pressure really started in 73. They was talking about deporting all of us. And the Holy One of Israel stepped in, and that's when there was the Yom Kippur War broke out, and that took the pressure off of us.
Mm.
Even after that, um, you had Moshe Dayan. He became the president of the Prime Minister of Israel. He was talking about this happened in the early 80s, early middle 80s. He was saying that he wasn't the president, a minister at the time. He wasn't prime minister. He was a general or something in the army. He said Israel need to gather all of us up, put them in a ship, and sink the ship with us in it.
Mm. Oh
So
wow.
it wasn't. So trying to get rid of us, they started that back in the 70s, early 70s. So that's how the Yom Kippur War started. They took the pressure off of us, and then they began to fight the war. Then the idea kept popping up, and I can recall Diane was the last one talking about taking us on a ship and sinking us. And
Mm.
then the pressure was still on by getting us out of this land. So we went to we went to bed. Following morning, we woke up. Soldiers was everywhere. We have a school. It's not our school, but it's a school across the street from it's like from where we live. Soldiers was on the top of the school. They had evacuated some houses that's across the street. Those houses across the street from where we live, they had evacuated those families. So we was ready for whatever was going to take place.
It broke up a second when you said across the street. It broke up. Are you talking about where we do the New World, the park?
No. The opposite side of the street, the other side. You know what a nation store is?
Yes, over there where they had the dance for the land when the COVID was going on that side.
Mm-hmm. They call it
Oh,
Smooth Street.
Smooth Street,
That's
gotcha.
the that school there.
Okay.
Okay. Um, we had said we started we was going to walk to Jerusalem, and
Ooh. That was a
and
mission.
present our face. Hmm?
That was gonna be a mission.
Came, and we had everything in motion. So I said when we woke up following morning, they had surrounded us. They
Mm.
got to the point they wouldn't let. And so we was all dressed in our white, and they kept on wanting to speak to Benami. From what I was told, they were going to try to get into his house, but they didn't know exactly how to get into his house. But anyway, he had security had moved him out.
Mm.
So they was telling us, go back into the house. Go back into your house. It's good. It's good. And of course, we didn't. We stood our ground
Right.
and
From the youngest to the oldest.
came. And one brother thought, one of the priests thought, he heard Abba say, Kadima. So he had told the people, move, start moving. We
Mm.
started walking.
Okay.
We was really, where Nasi Gabriel lives.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, we was all dressed in white. We was lined up. Then where uh, the area where Nasi she lived, that area right there, going down to our resident, thought
Uh-huh.
all of us were waiting for the word. And so this
Mm.
priest, he went and said, Abba said, move. So I started
Wow.
walking, and then he got word. Abba, did you say? He said, no. Had to get security and stop there because we
Mm.
were walking down the steps. And the word
Mm-hmm.
came from Abba said, we will wait. I don't know if you ever heard the term, we will wait.
Stand place. We will wait. Mm.
So that's where the saying came from. So, but everybody was in high spirit. We were going to walk to Jerusalem and present our case. So that's
Mm.
how the day is spent from
Oh,
say
that's
that.
beautiful. Okay, yeah, that's history right there. So it's definitely some things that I want to do with that history that I'll be
Mm-hmm.
sharing later, but I definitely want to make sure we got that in here before we closed out. So now it's been a well spent time. Like I said, told our Bob, I'm grateful that you came on and shared. You were part of history from the beginning, and I want to give you all your flowers. And before we get up out of here, if there's anything that you want to say in closing, or if it's any advice that you have for people that's getting ready to take, because there's people still leaving out of America and moving and having to not like it was then with the tents and the bushes, but you still having to
Mm-hmm.
come off the convenience of America. And it was a big thing because a woman had got on the internet talk about how she wanted to go back to America because Africa didn't have no snacks. So it's just a lot of conveniences that even though that's fabricated, there's just a lot of conveniences that you don't have. So anything you want to
Mm-hmm.
say in closing, or any advice that you have for somebody getting ready to take the similar journey, I'll give you the floor and then we'll close out.
Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's certainly a blessing. And I'm very appreciative to be able to be a part of this journey. And I want to strongly say, do not be afraid. Whatever you conceived, you can do it. Just sit up in your mind. What peace have our people have had, and is having in America? Do you know before they destroyed, it's still around, but we don't have no access to it. The history of our people, we were the ones that built the pyramids. As it still now, they don't know how because the pyramids were built from top down to the bottom. They didn't start at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
We built that airplane. So there was men that wanted to leave America. So they built the airplane. There wasn't
Mm-hmm.
the Rice brothers took credit for it. We can do what we want to do. Don't be
Facts.
afraid to step out. Step out so you can free yourself and help free those that might have less confidence in themselves. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid, because we are here to give you a helping hand also.
Mm.
So we can make it. You can make it. We can build houses. We can build all the conveniences that we became used to. We can do all of that. So don't be afraid. Come on. Saylee.
So hallelujah. I told out for that. So I pray somebody hears something that can spark something in them to give them the courage that you have, because you realize that the journey that you stepped on, that wasn't the end. It was just a part
Yeah.
of the journey, and you stayed straight forward. And right now, there's something that I want to shout out again. Me and my brother been shouting out. There's this app or this website called Air Affordable. It allows people to put a down payment on a plane ticket and then pay it off in payments. So if
Mm-hmm.
you leaving in November and it's February, you can pay a down payment and then you got until your date to leave to pay it off.
Okay.
So a lot of people have been stagnated because ticket prices, but now you don't have to worry about that because you could take your time, pay it off, and then make that
Mm-hmm.
move. So Toda Rabah, once again, I can't say it enough, and we will definitely be connecting again. So we're gonna go more into some Israel stuff. But thank you for what you've brought to the platform today so far. And have a blessed rest of your evening. And we will talk soon. And everybody watching, appreciate y'all for tuning in. This was Ahturah Rofah Afrah, pioneer of the KOY Kingdom of Yah. And this is bainkoy from bainkoy World signing out. Peace.